Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Eligos. This is a demon of the Gotia, which is a famous grimoire of demonology compiled in the 17th century. According to legend, he is a great duke of hell with a fierce appearance, often depicted as a ghostly knight riding a skeletal winged horse or a dragon. The horse is actually known as the Steel of Abigor and is a minion of hell created from the remains of a horse from the Garden of Eden. Eligos is known for his powers of divination, and he can reveal the past, present, and future to those who summon him. He is also associated with war and battle and is said to be able to command armies and help his summoner achieve victory in conflicts. However, he is not to be taken lightly, as he can be a dangerous adversary to those who oppose him. Despite his fearsome reputation, Eligos has been invoked by many over the centuries, seeking knowledge, power, and protection. Those who wish to summon him should approach with caution and respect, as he is not to be trifled with. In our number 9 spot today, we have Shurgot. Shurgot is a demon who is said to have the power to open all locks and gates. In demonology, he is considered one of the 72 demons of the Gotia, and according to legend, he is able to open any lock or seal, even if it is magically protected. This is of course a terrifying power, but there is a bit of a workaround. It is also believed that he can only open locks that have been closed properly and cannot open locks that have been left open or unlocked. Shurgot really got his rise to fame after his battle with Pope Honorarius III. The Pope had become hyper-focused on the oncoming war against demons and was summoning them purposefully in order to banish them back to hell. Shurgot was the last demon the Pope was able to summon, and for each demon he had written down all of their strengths and weaknesses, but for this one, all he wrote was the power to open all locks. Shurgot is often depicted as a man with the head of a lion or as a lion with wings. He is sometimes also shown holding a key or a set of keys, symbolizing his power over locks and barriers. In some traditions, Shurgot is considered a minor demon, while in others he is considered a very powerful and dangerous spirit. In any case, he is not a demon to be messed with, as his power over locks and gates can be both a blessing and a curse. In our number 8 spot today, we have Burith. Burith is a demon who is often associated with the underworld and is said to be one of the most powerful demons in the infernal hierarchy. He is known to be a demon of knowledge, specifically pertaining to sciences and technologies, as well as an expert in the art of persuasion. He is said to have the ability to make one rich and wise, but at a great cost. Burith is often depicted as a soldier wearing red armor, riding a red horse, and carrying a red staff of some kind. He is known to make pacts and contracts with humans, promising them wealth, knowledge, and power, but in exchange for their soul. In some traditions, he is also said to be the demon responsible for managing the finances of hell, but he is definitely not paying his taxes. That's gotta be a sin, right? Burith is a powerful and dangerous demon, and those who seek to invoke him should do so with extreme caution. It is said that those who make a pact with him are bound to it for all of eternity, and that he will stop at nothing to ensure that his end of the deal is fulfilled. In our number 7 spot today, we have Pazuzu, okay? Famous demon. Pazuzu is likely a demon you've heard of before. After all, this is the name of the demon that possessed Regan in The Exorcist, classic horror film. But the history of Pazuzu goes much further back. Pazuzu is a demonic entity from Mesopotamian mythology known as the King of the Wind Demons. His name is believed to have come from the Akkadian word Pazuzu, meaning he who brings forth the cold wind. Depicted as a fearsome creature with the head of a lion or a dog, wings of an eagle, and a scorpion's tail, Pazuzu was said to be the embodiment of chaos and destruction. Despite his fearsome appearance, Pazuzu was often invoked for protection against evil spirits and other malevolent forces. He was believed to have the power to drive away plagues and diseases, as well as to bring rain and prosperity to the land. In ancient Mesopotamian religion, Pazuzu was also associated with the god of storms and fertility. Despite his terrifying appearance in pop culture, in the more original context, Pazuzu was actually a symbol of protection and a powerful deity that played an important role in the mythology and beliefs of ancient Mesopotamia. In our number 6 spot today, we have Glazia Labalis. This one is a powerful demon with a reputation for divination and imparting knowledge. In demonology, he is classified as a mighty president of hell, ruling over 36 legions of demons. According to legend, he appears as a winged dog or a monstrous creature with the head of a dog and the wings of a griffin. He possesses the ability to see into the past, present, and future, and is known for his ability to reveal secrets and impart knowledge to those who summon him. Despite this reputation as a bringer of knowledge, he is also associated with destruction and chaos. He is believed to incite wars, cause discord, and bring about death and ruin to those who cross his path. In order to summon him, one must follow very specific guidelines and have certain precautions to avoid invoking his anger. Those who seek to work with this demon should approach with caution, as he is known to be very unpredictable and very dangerous. In our number 5 spot today, we have Belphegor. Belphegor is a fallen angel, and after his fall from heaven, he has now become the demon lord presiding over the sin of sloth. It is said that as Belphegor served as a lieutenant from hell, he was sent to Earth on a mission by Satan. While he was on Earth, he grew quite fond of Paris, France, and it is said that because of this affinity, he now lurks deep within the catacombs under the city. Belphegor can be invoked by mortals who are wishing to find fame and wealth, usually through as little effort as possible. But these wishes are of course doomed to fail because of the demon's true mission to lure dreamers into the sin of sloth. Through the failure of whatever was provided to the dreamer by Belphegor, he then draws them into procrastination and idle dreaming rather than the active production, which then of course condemns them to a life of failure. Belphegor is also recognized as one of the 7 great kings who rule over hell. In our number 4 spot today, we have Abaddon. Abaddon is a powerful and mysterious demon often referenced in religious texts and mythologies. In some traditions, he is believed to be the ruler of the abyss, a place of ultimate darkness and suffering. The name Abaddon comes from Hebrew meaning destruction or ruin, which speaks to the demon's destructive nature. He is one of the 7 princes of hell and is often associated with the sin of wrath. It is said that he is responsible for bringing about destruction, plagues, and famine. In some traditions, he is believed to be the angel of death, wielding a powerful scythe and bringing an end to life as we know it. Despite his reputation, some people also view him as a potential ally or guide. In occult practices, he may be invoked for protection, wisdom, or to help overcome obstacles, but whether you view him as a powerful enemy or a very valuable ally, there is no denying that this demon has captured the imaginations of many throughout history, and you should definitely proceed with caution. In our number 3 spot today, we have Astaroth. Astaroth is a powerful and malevolent demon in occult lore, believed to be one of the most prominent demons in hell. Known as the Great Duke of Hell, he is said to command a legion of demons and has the ability to grant knowledge and wealth to those who summon him, but of course, it is at a great cost. In demonology, he is often depicted as a humanoid figure with wings and a crown on his head, holding a serpent in one hand and a scepter in the other. Some believe that he was once an angel who fell from grace and became a demon due to his pride and arrogance. He is often invoked in rituals of black magic and is considered to be a dangerous entity that should only be approached by very experienced practitioners. Those who summon him are said to risk losing their souls to him and becoming trapped in his demonic realm for eternity. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Leviathan. Leviathan is a powerful and fearsome demon in Judeo-Christian mythology. Known as the twisting serpent, Leviathan is often described as a giant sea creature with multiple heads and a body covered in impenetrable scales. According to legend, Leviathan is one of the 7 princes of hell and is a symbol of chaos and destruction. In religious texts, Leviathan is often associated with the power of the ocean and the depths of the abyss. Some people believe that the demon is capable of controlling the weather and causing natural disasters, such as earthquakes and hurricanes, but despite these terrifying tales, some occultists believe that Leviathan can be invoked for protection or to gain power over the natural elements. Summoning Leviathan is a dangerous undertaking though, and it should only be attempted by those who know exactly what they're doing when it comes to the dark arts. Leviathan remains a very popular figure in contemporary horror fiction, where it is often portrayed as a monstrous creature capable of unleashing unspeakable terror upon the world. I'm not gonna lie, still prefer the Meg though, you know? The Meg has my heart. In our number 1 spot today, we have Valifar. Valifar is a demon from the Ars Goetia, and according to the grimoire, Valifar is a very powerful demon who appears as a thief on a horse with a lion's head and the wings of a griffin. There's a lot going on there. Valifar is said to be a master of languages, capable of teaching humans the art of invisibility and skilled in manipulating wealth. Valafar is often associated with temptation and greed, using his abilities to entice humans into a life of luxury and excess, leading them down a path of destruction. He is also known to be deceitful and can twist people's words to his advantage. According to legend, those who summon Valafar must be careful not to show weakness or vulnerability, as he will exploit it to his own benefit. It is said that he can be controlled with a magic ring, but those who try to do so must be prepared to face his cunning and his manipulation. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot we have Zozo. Would this be a list of Ouija board demons without Zozo? Zozo seems to have not been around for very long, but he is powerful, and in fact, as we talk about him, he only gains strength. Zozo is a demon who, if summoned during a Ouija board experience, even if you close everything properly and say goodbye as you should, you'll still be able to feel his presence lingering around for quite some time afterward. Many people have recounted their stories with Zozo, and while he is a demon, he acts like a poltergeist and has attempted to harm people, or at the very least has been known to throw furniture and other possessions around. These are only a few of the reasons why, if you find that you've summoned Zozo, it's imperative you close the Ouija board properly and then also probably burn it after too, just to be safe, you know? In our number 9 spot today we have the Donovan family. In the early 1970s, famous paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren were called to the home of the Donovan family, and when they arrived they found them all terrified. They witnessed loud pounding and other inhuman noises coming from inside of the walls, the wallpaper was peeling, and the water was running red. The Warrens began their investigation, and this included asking them questions to try and find out if there was a source of the haunting, such as a recently passed away family member or some kind of new secondhand item. Through this questioning, it was revealed that one member of the family had used a Ouija board and ended up contacting someone who had died in the neighborhood 10 years earlier. The Warrens knew it was time for them to call a priest because they believed that the entity that had been reached through the Ouija board was actually a demon just posing as the person who had passed away. Following an exorcism, it is said that things in the home slowly returned to normal, but the events stayed with the entire family. One member who witnessed the hauntings and the exorcism said, quote, "I nor anyone else in my family have ever before witnessed anything so weird and terrifying." In our number 8 spot today we have Aciel. Aciel is one of the electors of hell and is monitored by the archangel Raphael. Aciel is one of the 7 planetary demons, as he is the demon of Saturn. He dwells in the bowels of Earth and can be summoned by being invoked 3 times, but he will only appear in a magical circle that has been prepared specifically for him. His appearance is basically that of a tall, buff demon with reddish-brown skin. He has 4 horns on each side of his head and has creepy yellow eyes. He does have a human form in which he appears as a handsome man, but only stands around 3 feet tall in this form. He believes in the superiority of demons to ordinary beings, and he holds a lot of anger towards any kind of deity. He does have the power to make those who summon him rich, and the good news is that he doesn't have a lot of disdain for humans, but the catch is as long as you don't worship any kind of god. Aciel shows great respects for both Lilith and Lucifer, as he believes that the gods don't do anything other than sit and watch as people struggle in sin. So I guess with him, as long as you are not a god, you're probably safe, but I wouldn't risk summoning him. Just in case. In our number 7 spot today we have Naki. The Naki is a demonic jinn that originated in Estonian, Finnish, and Swedish mythology. She sometimes appears as a floating tree trunk, a large black horse, a hound, a silvery fish, a beautiful woman, or an ugly fisherman. With all these shapes and forms, it's no wonder people say that they aren't really sure what she actually looks like. She lives in the water and she waits until some unsuspecting person catches their reflection in it, and that is when she strikes, pulling them into the waters below. It is said that her favorite places to make her home are in under bridges that cross rivers, docks, or piers, or in murky pools and wells. The good thing is that there are ways to ward off her evil, and that is by either reciting a magical spell 3 times before entering the water, wearing a charm made of iron, or by keeping a knife near you in the water. I think that last one is probably the least ideal of all of the options if you have the choice though. In our number 6 spot today we have Beelzebub. Beelzebub is a former seraph who turned into a high-ranking demon. He is one of the princes of hell and also oversees the Order of the Fly. He, Satan, and Lucifer form the triarchy of hell, which makes him one of the supreme monarchs of the underworld. As a seraphim, he was under the archangel Gabriel, but he was one of the very first angels to fall. Beelzebub is often confused with Satan, and while the two names terms can technically be interchanged, they are two separate entities, and in some writings, they even disagree. Beelzebub is associated with pride and gluttony, and he has also been held responsible for demonic possessions throughout the years. Unfortunately, flies are a very important thing for him, as it is said that he can take the form of flies. Now, his main job is to rule over the fallen angels, as well as all the demons that are originally from hell. In our number 5 spot today, we have Lilith. Lilith is a demon goddess who appears a lot in mythology. Her dark origins start in Sumerian and Babylonian demonology, and she is the picture of a beautiful maiden with a very dark spirit. Legend says once she chose a lover, she would never let him go and would give nothing in return. Some people believe that Lilith was actually the first wife of Adam, and that the two were created equal, but Adam didn't like that she wasn't obedient to him, so he abandoned her, and this is when God made Eve. This is what is rumored to have turned Lilith into a snake, which then tempted Eve into the apple. After Adam and Eve were then banished from the Garden of Eden, Lilith turned into a demon goddess and vowed to get her revenge on all men. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Jorogumo. This creature, according to lore, is said to be a yokai that is half woman, half spider. She has the ability to appear as a beautiful human in order to lure unsuspecting men so that she can devour them like a black widow. Legend has it that one day a young samurai encountered an alluringly gorgeous woman on the streets. Many people would have been fooled by her appearance, but the samurai was not so naive. He saw through the disguise and immediately drew his sword, but he was only able to injure her before she was able to scurry away. He followed the trail of scarlet that was left by her blood, and it led him to an old abandoned house. When he peered inside, he saw dozens of bodies that were bound in spider silk. In our number 3 spot today, we have the demonic animal. One more story from the Warrens. This one came straight from Ed himself. He told this story when he was trying to set an example of how things of the occult and the supernatural certainly are not for amateurs or for the faint of heart. He used this story of a girl who was playing with a Ouija board. You know, how all good supernatural stories start. She asked for proof of a spirit presence, and she got a lot more than she bargained for. Ed Warren said, quote, "She got this proof with 2 days and 2 nights of hell. Apparently it started off with a manifestation of sort of an animal form walking on her bed. This then turned physical, and whatever this entity was left her with bruises. It is said that thankfully the mother in the home saw what was happening and she took action. She not only prayed by the girl's bedside, but she also sprinkled holy water. There was a 2-day vigil in which everyone tried to rid the girl of this demonic presence that she had summoned, and thankfully it worked." In our number 2 spot today, we have Tukolshi. This creature originated in South Africa, and it appears in Zulu mythology. It is said that this creature is quite short, but very frightening. What it lacks in height, it makes up for in a vertical better than Michael Jordan in his prime. Legend has it that this creature likes to jump on people's chests at night while they are sleeping so that it can steal their breath away. Aside from the whole jumping thing, it is said that this creature is also quite fast, and one kind of random fact is that it apparently loves curdled milk, which is disgusting. So while he's stealing your breath, I guess you just have to sit there smelling his hot curdled milk breath. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. There is a way to protect yourself against him, and that is by putting your bed on high bricks. This is because if the bed is raised too high, then this malevolent being won't be able to just jump up on your chest to complete its breath-stealing work. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have Hades. Hades is the king of the underworld and the god of the dead, and I'm not sure if it gets any darker than that. It was believed that just by speaking his name, he would have the power to bring you to the underworld, so people tried to avoid his name like it was Voldemort. Hades was sure to never let any souls that entered the underworld escape, and he would punish anyone who tried, or anyone who tried to save someone in the underworld. One of the darkest myths in reference to him is the time he kidnapped Persephone. He opened up the earth where she was picking flowers and kept her in the underworld. Persephone's mother Demeter was of course really unhappy about this and did everything that she could to get her back. Hades finally agreed to let her go, but of course there's always a twist with these guys. He gave her a pomegranate seed as a parting gift, which she ate. Little did she know, if you eat food from the underworld, it binds you to it, so now she is bound to Hades, and basically the story just ends off with her being allowed to live a few months of the year on Earth, but the rest of the time she was stuck in the underworld. So yeah, Hades is just out there kidnapping people, which is super uncool. Don't summon him with a Ouija board. unless you want to get kidnapped.
Coming in at number 10, we have Annabelle. Bought in an antique shop in 1970, a woman gave a raggedy doll to her daughter, Donna, who was in nursing school. Now let me just say, I had my own Raggedy Ann doll growing up, and it always gave me the chills. Now, Donna and her roommate Angie kept coming home to find the doll in different positions and different locations. Then the doll began leaving them notes reading help. A psychic told them that the doll was possessed by the spirit of a girl named Annabelle who had died at the location where their apartment complex had been built. But the girl's friend Lou thought there was something more sinister about Annabelle, and she levitated up his body and strangled him until he passed out. The girls then called Ed and Lorraine Warren, who decided the doll was actually a conduit to hell that a demon was using. 2 exorcisms didn't work, and the Warrens took Annabelle home. Now, upon arriving home, Ed and Lorraine placed the doll in Ed's study, and the doll levitated and moved about the house. Even when placed in the locked office in an outer building, the Warrens claimed that she would turn up later inside the house. Finally, the Warrens decided to lock Annabelle up for good, and they had a specially made glass and wood case constructed, upon which they inscribed the Lord's Prayer and St. Michael's Prayer. Then for the rest of his life, Ed would periodically say a binding prayer over the case, ensuring that the sinister spirit and doll remained good and trapped. Number 9. The Devil Made Me Do It. Ed and Lorraine Warren helped exorcise a possessed boy named David Glatzel in the early 80s. David's family had seen him being beaten and choked by invisible hands, and that red marks appeared on his neck afterward. David had started to growl, hiss, speak in otherworldly voices, and recite passages from the Bible as well. Now, they did many exorcisms on David, and Lorraine said that David levitated, ceased breathing for a time, and even demonstrated the supernatural ability of precognition. Now, during his exorcisms, there was also a rocking chair in the room that would allegedly rock on its own, levitate, and even vanish and reappear. David and Lorraine also claimed to have seen the devil sitting in it. Then David's older sister's boyfriend, Arnie, then coerced one of the demons to possess him while participating in David's exorcisms. Afterwards, Arnie's personality changed, and he would fall into a trance-like state where he would growl and hallucinate, but later have no memory of it. Then one day, after his and his girlfriend Debbie's landlord was drunk and misbehaving, Ernie ended his life. The day after the incident, Lorraine informed the Brookfield police that Ernie was possessed when the crime was committed. The case then went to trial, where Ernie's defense was demonic possession and that the devil made me do it. Number 8. The Enfield Poltergeist. The Enfield Poltergeist was a claim of supernatural activity in Enfield, London between 1977 and 1979. The poltergeist activity centered around 2 young sisters, Janet and Margaret Hodgson. In August 1977, single-parent Peggy Hodgson called the Metropolitan Police to her rented home, claiming she had witnessed furniture moving and that 2 of her 4 children heard knocking sounds in the walls. Later claims included disembodied voices, loud noises, thrown toys, overturned chairs, and children levitating. Over a period of 18 months, more than 30 people, including the Hodgson's neighbors, paranormal investigators, and journalists, say they variously saw heavy furniture moving on its own accord, objects being thrown across the room, and the sisters seeming to levitate several feet off the ground. Many have also recorded knocking noises and a gruff voice. Now, Ed and Lorraine Warren went to investigate in 1978 and were convinced that the events had a supernatural explanation. It was during this time that the house of the supposed poltergeist started speaking through Janet. The young girl would often go in a trance-like state where she would speak in a deep, scratchy voice, claiming to be the ghost of a man named Bill Wilkins who had died in the house years before. Now, one of the interactions of Janet levitating was actually caught on camera. Number 7. The Snedeker House. It's important to note that the Snedeker House used to be a former funeral home, so of course it was haunted. The Warrens arrived at the house in 1986 to conduct their investigation. While there, the couple proclaimed that the house was infested with demons. The story begins with Carmen and Alan Snedeker, their 3 sons, their daughter, and 2 nieces moving into a home in Southington, Connecticut. Strange happenings of the house started off fairly innocent, with the mother noticing items around the house going missing. Then the children started talking about seeing strange people in their home, more specifically a man with long black hair. Then the eldest son had a drastic personality change that included violent outbursts. He attacked family members out of nowhere and didn't seem like himself. Now, doctors diagnosed him with schizophrenia, but the family was not convinced. They believed that his strange and terrifying behavior was the result of the environment and the ghost in the home. Ed and Lorraine spent weeks in the home to get the full demonic experience, and after their investigation, they declared that the morticians that had worked in the home when it was a funeral parlor parlor, practiced necromancy, and had infused the home with a deep evil. The Warrens performed an exorcism on the home to rid of the evil and make it safe for the family to return. Number 6. The demonic werewolf. This account is based on a story of Bill Ramsey, a real werewolf in London. Bill first demonstrated demonically possessed behavior at the age of 9. Apparently he displayed superhuman strength, even managing to rip out a post from its concrete dwellings. He would also try to bite at his family and relatives before having seizures. In 1983, now a grown man, he admitted himself to an institution after the cravings for blood returned, but when in the hospital, he attacked a nurse and barked like a dog. In 1987, while displaying a wolfish demeanor, he attacked a police officer with superhuman force. It took 6 more officers altogether to restrain the beast. Now the fiasco led to a mass news coverage, and the Warrens were on point to wrestle the raging mongrel from his wicked soul. After being flown to Connecticut, the wolf demon was exorcised successfully, and Bill has had no issues ever since. Number 5. The Smurl Haunting. The Smurl Haunting is named after Jack and Janet Smurl. They claim that a demon was haunting their home in West Pittenson, Pennsylvania between the years of 1974 and 1989. The demon was alleged to have thrown the family dog into a wall and pushed their daughter down the stairs. The Warrens arrived at the Smurl household in 1986 to conduct their own investigation. Ed described the demonic presence as very powerful and claimed that the entity was able to shake mirrors and move furniture. He claimed to have recorded audio footage of the knocking and rapping sounds caused by the demon as well. Number 4. The Borley Church. The Borley Church is a haunted place of worship that was built in the 12th century and is located in Essex. Crafted during the Norman conquest of 1066, Borley's church is just steps away from fellow paranormal hotspot Borley Rectory and has been the subject of numerous reports, including eerie footsteps, unsettling smells, and spine-tingling apparitions, most notably a solemn nun aimlessly wandering the courtyard. Now others reported apparitions included a veiled young lady who walks the churchyard grounds before suddenly disappearing, as well as a monk hiding within the church. The organ is said to play by itself, and paranormal investigators claim to have heard ominous, mournful cries and groans coming from the building. Ed himself declared that he had caught an image of the spirit of the monk looking around a book in the church on camera. Number 3. Amityville. One of the most famous haunted houses in the United States is the Dutch Colonial House at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. The haunting stems from the night of November 13, 1974, when 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo ended the lives of all 6 members of his family. He was arrested, convicted, and given 6 concurrent life sentences. Then in December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, moved into the house and exclaimed that spooky things were happening. For example, George would wake up at 3:15 every morning, which was the approximate time that Ronald committed his crimes. Kathy said that she would feel a ghostly presence and be embraced by it, and all this and more caused the family to flee in fear after only staying in the house for 28 days. Due to this, Ed and Lorraine visited the house and set up time-lapse infrared cameras and caught a photo of a ghost boy. Now the picture wasn't made public until 3 years later when George Lutz appeared on the Merv Griffith show in 1979. Now believers of the haunting think this is the photo of the ghost of the youngest DeFeo son, John Matthew, who was 9 at the time of the deaths. The Warrens have suggested that the house is occupied by a malevolent spirit due to its history and tried their best to cast them out. Number 2. Cindy McBain. One day on one of the 15-year-old's many trips to the mall, Cindy McBain found a new shop called the Antique Attic. Wandering around, she was excited to find a battered old Ouija board for sale, which she bought for $5. After getting the board home, Cindy tried it out with her friend Nancy, and during the first session, the girls heard clawing coming from within Cindy's bedroom walls, which they described as sounding like something trying to be set free. The incident resulted in Nancy running from the house, but Cindy continued to experiment with the Ouija board. Soon after, her friends started to notice a big change in Cindy as she had lost her normally big appetite and she had become gaunt and dull-eyed. Even her teachers became concerned, as did her parents, who on several occasions heard strange voices coming from Cindy's bedroom. When her mother discovered the Ouija board and tried to take it, Cindy became aggressive and grasped her arm with a strong hand, and she later reported feeling afraid of her own daughter. As things escalated, the clawing sound was heard throughout the whole house. Cindy quit school and became a virtual stranger to her family. She eventually became violent, at one point attacking her father and slamming his head into a wall. After this, Cindy was hospitalized and the Warrens were called in. The climax of the case took place at Cindy's hospital bed, and after coming to the conclusion that Cindy was a victim of demonic infestation, the Warrens called in Father Elmy, who noted that Cindy reacted violently to a crucifix. Then, over the next 18 hours, the priest conducted an exorcism. And coming in at number 1 is the Conjuring House. Originally called the Arnold Estate, this house came filled with horrors. In January 1971, the Perron family, Roger, Carolyn, and their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April, moved into a farmhouse. Not long after moving in, the family reportedly experienced all manners of paranormal activity, from apparitions to physical attacks by unseen hands. Now, the most frequent apparition was one of a woman with a broken neck who came to be popularized as Bathsheba Sherman. Now, it turns out that there actually was a real person named Bathsheba Sherman who lived on the Perrons' property in the mid-1800s. She was rumored to be a Satanist, and there was evidence that she had been involved in the death of a neighborhood child, though no trial ever took place. Now, the Perrons believed that it was Bathsheba's spirit that was tormenting them. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine inserted themselves into the family's alleged experiences, making the case famous via their lectures and eventually the Conjuring film. Now, the Perron family claimed that paranormal experiences went on for almost 10 years until the family had abandoned the house in 1980.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Purple Mommy. Starting off strong. This was a story that was posted to Reddit by the user Professor_Dog, and they wrote, quote, Purple Mommy. When my son was first learning to talk, he would tell us about something called Purple Mommy. It could be an imaginary friend, but these details are a little bit creepy. Purple Mommy is all purple with long hair and bright white eyes. At the time, he mixed up purple with black, so he could have meant that she was all black. Purple Mommy picks him up at night and turns off the lights. We would often find my son out of his crib in the morning, which would mean him crawling over the railing into the ground at a time when he was barely walking. Definitely found the lights off in his room a few times too, even though he is terrified of the dark. Purple Mommy needs a bandage because she has blood everywhere. Purple Mommy has no smile, meaning that she has no mouth. Purple Mommy can take her head off. Purple Mommy really doesn't like Daddy. He told us all of this stuff for maybe a year or a little more. If we ever asked where she was, he'd always point to the same spot, a corner of the room behind his open closet door. He would also wake up crying almost every night during this time. Once, during a really rough night, my wife went to ask him what's wrong, and his answer was, Purple Mommy won't let me sleep. I'm not gonna lie, Purple Mommy sounds absolutely terrifying. In our number 9 spot today, we have Kelly. This story starts off when someone, who we'll call Marissa, realized that their daughter had an imaginary friend named Kelly. Kelly apparently lived in Marissa's daughter's closet, which sounds kind of creepy, but I guess even imaginary friends need a home, so who am I to judge? Kelly liked to sit in the rocking chair while the daughter did pretty much anything. Sleeping, playing, you know it. Kelly was in the rocking chair. This friendship went on for quite a while, but it eventually faded away, as most imaginary friendships do. Flash forward 2 years later, and Marissa is watching the new Amityville horror movie with her husband. Marissa's daughter walks into the living room at the exact moment in the movie where the dead girl has completely black eyes, and instead of being absolutely terrified, the daughter looks at the screen and says, "Hey, that's Kelly!" Marissa at this point had totally forgotten about the imaginary friend and said, "Kelly who?" And the daughter replied, "The dead girl that lived in my closet." Maybe Kelly wasn't as imaginary as we all once thought. In our number 8 spot today, we have Paris Jarris. Reddit user Biggest Parrot told the internet a story about an imaginary friend her sister had called Paris Jarris. They wrote, quote, "My dad had built her a small playhouse in our backyard where my mom could see her and hear her while she was in the kitchen. My sister would have tea parties and such with her imaginary friend. One day mom heard her say, 'Don't worry, as long as I'm alive, they won't hurt you.' She paused and said, 'Well, if you do that, then I can't help you. It's not nice to kill people.' When my mom asked her what that was about, my sister said, 'Sometimes I have to tell Paris to be a nice person or he can't visit anymore.' I have to ask, what do you even say to that? I mean, I'm glad she knows that Paris Jarris is wrong for that, but I would be absolutely terrified of whatever the hell was going on there." The Reddit user finishes the post by saying, "We moved not long afterwards and she didn't get a new playhouse." Yeah, can't say I blame anyone for that. Hopefully Paris Jarris stayed behind in that house. In our number 7 spot today, we have Arlo. One day, a couple's young daughter started talking about her new friend Arlo. Arlo was apparently quite funny, and the daughter would often tell her parents stories of the things that they would do together. The parents assumed Arlo was a friend from school for a while, but then it came to their attention that there was no Arlo at the girls' school. Okay, so who is Arlo and where did they come from? Flash forward to when the weather started getting warmer and the ice cream man started coming around the neighborhood. The daughter was asking about who this man was and why he was playing music, and the parents just didn't want her to start asking for ice cream 10 times a day, so they told a little white lie. They told her that he was the music man and that he just comes by to play music for everyone. During this time, the pandemic was in full effect, so the family was in lockdown and they weren't seeing anyone else or any other friends. A few weeks go by, and then one day, as the ice cream man comes to the neighborhood, the daughter hears the music, and that's when she looks at her parents and says, "Oh, it's the ice cream man. I know he sells ice cream and that he's not the music man." Apparently, Arlo told her that her parents had lied when they told her that he was the music man. This is when her parents asked her, "Where does Arlo live?" And the daughter replied, "In my closet." In our number 6 spot today, we have Jacob. Reddit user Lil Pig Perez shared a story that involved her niece and her imaginary friend during a trip for ice cream. A lot of ice cream references. She wrote, quote, "As I started driving, my niece asks if Jacob, imaginary friend, could get an ice cream too. I jokingly said, Jacob can get his own ice cream. I laughed and said, just kidding, we'll get Jacob an ice cream." She didn't respond, so I looked in the rear view mirror. I couldn't see very much because it was kind of dark, but what I could see was my niece's face. She looked angry and I was about to reassure her that I was kidding, but I realized that she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at something near my ear, towards the back of my head. Then she said, "I said no, Jacob, be nice." No, she didn't mean it. Either that is one terrifying demon of a friend, or this niece has quite an active imagination and a strong desire for extra ice cream. In our number 5 spot today, we have Mr. No Face. This story comes from Reddit and was posted by the user Legacy of Potato about their daughter Emma's new friend. When the announcement of this new friend came, Emma explained to her mom that her new friend, who Emma's mom immediately knew was imaginary, was called Mr. No Face. Okay. It's a bit creepy, but not a reason to freak out. Emma's mom asked a few questions about Mr. No Face, which Emma answered, but then she began to get nervous and quickly shuffled off to her room. Her mom called her back, but Emma just didn't listen, which was extremely unlike her. The next day, Emma's school called and said that the mom needed to set up a meeting to come and talk about Emma. When Emma's mom asked Emma why her school would be calling, Emma insisted that they were making up lies about her, and that she was especially upset that they had apparently told her that Mr. No Face wasn't real. The next day, Emma's mom went to the school to speak with the teacher, and the teacher explained that Emma was exhibiting some strange and disturbing behavior and asked if she had been watching any horror films lately. Emma's mom began to get defensive and asked for more explanations as to what the teacher could possibly be talking about. The teacher said that Emma had been talking to someone named Mr. No Face. Okay, it's an imaginary friend. Kids have those. What could possibly be so bad? The teacher then went on to explain that Emma had been acting out and that she had been drawing some really gory pictures and telling the other students that Mr. No Face wants their blood. The mother couldn't believe what she was hearing and she raced home to ask Emma about these accusations. When she arrived home, her mother, Emma's grandmother who had been looking after Emma, looked pale white, like she had just seen a ghost. Emma's mom ran to the kitchen and it was there that she saw Emma. Emma turned around to face her and her neck was cracking. Once she turned around, Emma's mom saw that her eyes were now pitch black. Emma spoke in a low, guttural voice and said, "He wants blood. Yours will be shed." The mother screamed, "Give me my daughter back," and Emma replied, "She's mine." The Redditor ends off the post by saying, if your child has an imaginary friend with no face, run. In our number 4 spot today, we have Spider Hands. Posted by the user Not Another Whatever, they wrote, "My sister Ashley used to get visited at night by a dead girl with long dark hair and spider hands. Yes, this predated The Ring. Yes, I'm old AF. She moved out the second she turned 18, never looked back. 20 odd years later, our half-brother Trevor moved into her old room. It wasn't long after Trev started sleeping on the sofa or with the lights on and told us about his new friend that he didn't like. She was a dead girl who had long dark hair, an old nightgown, and spider hands. Needless to say, none of us offered to trade rooms with him." I guess this is less of an imaginary friend story because it seems like no one wanted to be friends with the girl. And honestly, I'm not sure that I could possibly blame them. In our number 3 spot today, we have Dawn. Science Nerd 86 posted this story about his daughter and how one day she randomly started talking about a man named Dawn. They wrote, "She always described him in the same way and didn't seem scared at all despite bringing him up every day. She didn't go to daycare and we didn't know anyone named Dawn. Then one day, she got completely freaked out, wouldn't walk around the house alone in case she ran into Don, wouldn't sleep in her own room, and would talk about how she hated him because he said mean words to her all the time. About a year after Mean Don, we bought a new house. Once we moved, she never spoke of him again. Honestly, while all of that was happening, it would obviously be very concerning and frightening, but perhaps not as frightening as when you realized that she had stopped seeing him after the move. Like a sense of relief, but also a sense of, what the hell just happened? It's almost like a demon confirmation, you know? In our number 2 spot today, we have the Bunny Man. This story starts off when our storyteller was looking after some twins. The twins constantly spoke of a man who was in a Easter bunny costume, and they were both absolutely terrified of him. Of course, all the adults really just brushed this off, assuming it was some imaginary person that the boys made up together. One day, while the babysitter was looking after the boys, one of the boys was in the shower while the other one and the babysitter were downstairs watching TV. The one twin watching TV said, "You need to go check on Matt," referring to the twin in the shower. And at the same time, Matt, the one in the shower, began shrieking, "He's in here, he's in here." The babysitter booked it upstairs and had to check every single room before Matt would calm down. Who is this Bunny Man, and how are both twins seeing him? And how did the one twin know he was around just seconds before the other one started yelling? All I know is that I feel extremely bad for Matt, because a creepy stranger dressed in a bunny costume who appears in the bathroom while you're showering is enough to scare absolutely anyone. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Hat Man. This story reads, when my son was about 3 years old, we were living with my mom in an older apartment. I had always gotten a weird vibe from it. The atmosphere felt heavy and a little oppressive, but I assumed it was just because of the age. However, my son started waking up in the middle of the night and would talk to his friend, who he described as the Hat Man. He would also wake up and tell Hat Man that he didn't want to go play with him because he was supposed to be asleep and that he'd see him tomorrow. This was always followed by him waking me up and asking for a glass of water. I knew it wasn't just an imaginary friend when one night I heard him talking, and when he said he'd see him tomorrow, the door to his room closed on its own. This stopped completely once we moved out. The door closing literally just gives me chills, full-on poltergeist vibes. Moving was definitely a good choice, and I'm glad that the Hat Man stayed behind.
Coming in at number 10 is Leek. Leek is a demon entity which takes human shape during the day and has an unusually long tongue and fangs. But at night, their head and entrails break loose from their body and fly, searching out pregnant or newly birthed women in order to suck out their baby's blood. When human, they practice black magic and have a taste for human flesh. Their queen is a widow witch named Ragna. They can command other demons, and Leek statues, which are of a head with a very long tongue and sharp fangs, are sometimes hung on a wall for house decoration. Now, sometimes certain illnesses or deaths are attributed to leeks, and due to this, a healer will conduct a seance to identify with witchcraft who is responsible for the death. Now, during the seance, the spirit of the dead will directly or indirectly point to their attacker. However, vengeance by the victim's relatives or family is usually counseled against, and people are advised to leave any action to the spirits themselves. Number 9. Furfur. Furfur, also known as Furcifer, is a demon who is said to be the Count of Hell, leading 26 legions. He speaks in a hoarse voice, has a fiery tail, and usually appears as a stag. He's said to be able to make men and women fall in love, and has also command over great storms. He gives true answers to all things past, present, and future, but he first must be commanded to enter a magic triangle, for if not, he will lie, deceive the conjurer, and enchant him in other business. But if he enters the triangle, he will answer truly and gladly speak about divinity, the creation of the world, himself, and other fallen angels. He can also destroy all the conjurer's enemies by burning them up. If the magician requests it, he will not suffer temptations from any spirit in any form. He can also supposedly be called upon when a mortal wishes to take vengeance on other demons. This is likely included in his capability to destroy the conjurer's enemies. Number 8. Valak. Now, many of you may know who Valak is due to the Conjuring films, but the real Valak is somehow scarier. The real demon appears as a child riding a two-headed dragon. The first known reference to the name Valak is found in a 17th century grimoire titled The Key of Solomon. University of Hertfordshire professor Owen Davies, an expert of the history of ghosts and witchcraft, described grimoires as books that contain a mix of spells, conjurations, natural secrets, and ancient wisdom. Solomon is a self-described guide to the ceremonial art of commanding spirits both good and evil. The grimoire bearing Valak's name lists the 72 demons that the king supposedly vanquished during his reign, providing readers with their names and instructions for expelling them should they come in contact with such spirits themselves. Valak is the 62nd spirit on the list in the Solomon, according to which he appeareth like a boy with angel wings riding on a two-headed dragon. His special power, according to the text, is finding snakes and hidden treasures while leading an army of 30 demons. The Bible itself contains no reference to Solomon's 72 demons, but it was actually listed in the Vatican's list of prohibited books, which the church continuously updated until scraping it all together in 1966. Number 7. Ayla. Ayla is a female demon from Eastern Europe who, like many demons, seems to be derived from a belief in nature and weather spirits that could cause disaster and disease. Ayla was believed to reside in clouds, lakes, in springs, remote mountains, caves, or in large trees. When she visited humankind, she could take many forms. Ayla can manifest as a vast black wind, a female dragon, a large-mouthed human, or a raven. She could even possess people. Her primary characteristic is her all-consuming greed. If angered, this demon could manifest violent, thunderous hailstorms to destroy fields, vineyards, and orchards. However, it was equally likely that she would satisfy her enormous appetite by devouring the produce herself. When not over-consuming stolen food, Ayla liked to snack on children. Her greed was so insatiable that she also periodically tried to eat the sun and moon, therefore causing an eclipse. If a person encountered Ayla, their health could suffer. However, if they gained the demon's favor, she would not only restore health, but also bestow upon them good fortune for the rest of their life. But you know, I just wouldn't want to risk it. Number 6. Krampus. Krampus is popular in Germanic folklore, and this demon is essentially the polar opposite of Santa Claus. On and around December 5th, St. Nicholas travels around the Alpine counties delivering candy and gifts to all the good boys and girls. Now, at the same time, his darker double follows closely behind, only rather than leaving gifts, he deals out behaviors correcting punishment, flogging naughty boys and girls with a birch wood stitch. This dreaded day is called Krampenschnott. Again, don't come for me with the pronunciation. He wears bells and chains, and he sometimes captures kids and takes them away from their parents forever. Krampus is always portrayed in human form with a twisted body, long horns on his head, sharp teeth, and a nasty tongue. The length and appearance of these horns vary from story to storyteller, but in recent years Krampus has become somewhat of a globally accepted Christmas demon and has been terrifying German children for generations. Number 5. Mephistopheles. One of the ultimate demons from hell, Mephistopheles has Germanic roots and is essentially the devil's favorite bounty hunter. He is credited Lucifer's right-hand man and apparently sold his soul for infinite knowledge and magic. Now, as the devil's main man, he harvests his souls and bargains with those who also wish to sell their souls. This is the classic image of a demon who makes an agreement in exchange for your mortal soul. Mephistopheles, however, is not often the one seen to be making the deal, but rather a rabid dog sent to collect when it comes to pay up. The story behind him is that he too once made a deal with the devil, and he must spend his life as the devil's henchman. Coming in at number 4 is Alu. Alu is a vampiric demon that is an infernal and immortal being. It was never human or created in any known way. They were born into Lithita, or one of her demon servants. When their father was about to die, they surrounded his bed waiting for the moment during which they could take their father's soul, impeding his travel to the underworld and making him an errant spirit feared by all living people. They're described as being faceless and desirous of destroying all life whenever the opportunity presents itself. The Alu will often possess a man when he is engaged in sexual intercourse with a succubus. A succubus, by the way, is understood as a Lilin demon in female form or supernatural entity that appears in dreams to seduce men, usually through sexual activity. So, as the victim nears death, the Alu will wait for the moment of expiration so that it may snatch up the fleeing soul and enslave it. Number 3. Lilith. Lilith is a female demon of Jewish folklore. Some texts claim that Lilith was the first wife of the Bible's Adam and was created on par with him. However, Adam disliked her lack of subservience, so she abandoned him. Then God made an obedient wife, Eve. Now, consumed by jealousy, Lilith turned into a snake and tempted Eve with the forbidden apple. After the couple was banished from the Garden of Eden, Lilith transformed into a demoness, vowing her revenge on all men. Lilith is mentioned in passing in the Bible, but it doesn't go into detail like all of this. Now, due to her bitterness and subsequent inability to bear children, Lilith was also known to threaten women in childbirth. She could only be thwarted by an amulet inscribed with the names of 3 angels, which was placed around a newborn baby's neck. She made an agreement with these angels not to hurt any children, and when she sees the names, she remembers her oath and leaves the children alone. Well, it's nice that she sticks to it. Number 2, Manananggal. The Manananggal is a dark-hearted demon and arguably one of the most gruesome types of demons. Its name means to separate, which is precisely what it does. This female demon turns into a terrifying winged vampire-like creature. However, as their wings sprout, their legs separate from their bodies. Their upper halves fly around, entrails dangling beneath them, surely showering people with gore as they go. Now, this particular demon is rooted in Filipino folklore. The Manananggal preys on a range of targets, including pregnant women. Their probing tongue penetrates the woman's pregnant belly and sucks out their unborn child's heart. If that isn't dark, then I honestly don't know what is. It's also said that they prey upon newlyweds and couples in love. It would seem that love is the fuel that drives this demon onwards. The legend behind it claims that the original Manananggal was abandoned at the altar, explaining why they also desire to feast on the flesh of grooms-to-be. And coming in at number 1 is Rakshasa. Rakshasa is a class of male and female shape-shifting demons. They can appear as animals, as monsters, or in the case of the female demons, a beautiful woman. They are most powerful in the evening, particularly during the dark period of the new moon, but they are dispelled by the rising sun. Their specialty is disturbing sacrifices, discrediting graves, harassing priests, and possessing human beings. Their fingernails are venomous, and they feed on human flesh and spoiled food. They were shown as being mean, growling beasts, and as insatiable man-eaters that can smell the scent of human flesh. Some of the more ferocious ones were shown with flaming red eyes and hair, drinking blood with their cupped hands or from human skulls. Generally, they could fly, vanish, and had Maya, magical powers of illusion, which enabled them to change size at will and assume the form of any creature. I don't know about you, but that sounds terrifying.
In our number 10 spot, we have the table throwing demon. Okay, here's some crazy footage for you of a possible real life demon. I mean, heck, the Bible has warned us that demons are tricky and they play with us and influence us and make us feel fear. Well, that is seemingly exactly what happens in the video I'm about to show you. Here we have a woman who is sitting in what looks like a banquet hall, and she's on her cell phone when she hears a chair move. She turns around and sees nothing, but then the chair beside her moves and she freaks out and falls on the floor. Then a bunch of chairs and tables begin to move, and you see her get so frightened that she tries to stand up and then she falls on the floor again. She could have fainted too, it's kind of unclear. The footage is so wild, and it's so clear that this woman isn't an actress and that this isn't edited footage. It's too natural, and I mean, if she is, then man, she deserves an Oscar. If you're liking this video, don't forget to give it a like, as it will really help us out. In our number 9 spot, we have Satan. Well, duh, if there was going to be one demon on this list that we all know about, obviously it was going to be Satan himself. Satan was once a guardian cherub, but God found wickedness within him, or so is said in Ezekiel 28:12-15. Luke has also mentioned that Jesus saw Satan fall from heaven like a lightning bolt, and that is how he gained the name of fallen angel. Something that I didn't know until this video though is that apparently Satan does not rule over hell, but is punished and just imprisoned with the other souls in hell. That's interesting. From my understanding, Satan is the king and creator of demons, and these demons have influence and infiltrate society and cause sadness and havoc. So basically, we're living amongst many demons these days. Everywhere you look, everything you hear or read, there's some kind of messaging that hits an emotional chord that makes you feel understood. But then you'll hear something else that is a conflicting perspective, and you also feel understood from that. And the result is that you're left confused, and you feel pulled in many directions, and you will feel vulnerable, and that's when it will be easy to control you. Beware of the influential demons like Satan. In our number 8 spot, we have the shapeshifters. Guys, I'm a little shocked that the Bible subtly points to shapeshifters. I guess I just assumed that this was a modern day conspiracy theory fueled by the Marvel movies, but no, there is evidence to suggest that shapeshifters have been around and spoken about since before the Bible. Mark said, after these things, he appeared in another form to 2 of them as they were walking into the country. He appeared in another form to 2 of them as they were walking into the country. That's it, they exist. I'm a believer. Also, what's the consensus? Should we just now conclude that Obama's security guard is indeed a shapeshifter? I feel like yes. Who's a believer? Let me know in the comment section below. In our number 7 spot, we have the chair moving demon. Okay, this could be just a ghost or a demon. I mean, who knows? In this clip, you see a girl in perhaps a classroom or a common area as there are computers and lounge chairs, and she seems to be looking at something when suddenly she runs out of the room. Then a few moments later, you see the lounge chair move and the door close. The ghost/demon is having a meeting, so he wanted his privacy, guys. The devil requires privacy. Okay, but seriously, what is this? How is this footage not more mainstream? I'm scared. I hope somebody called a priest after witnessing this footage. This place definitely needs to be cleansed. In fact, we should get the priests of the world to just cleanse the world. We may just need a general world cleansing because clearly the demons are among us, judging by this video. I'm scared. I want my mom. In our number 6 spot, we have the reptile people. Okay guys, we know that there are many references to reptiles in the Bible. I mean, if you don't, then I'm here to tell you that indeed there are. In fact, the Bible starts with Adam and Eve is persuaded by the snake to eat the forbidden fruit. So the stories really begin right away. But there have been evidence of people believing in the reptile people for many centuries, even dating back to ancient Mesopotamia, where they created an artifact called the Ubaid lizard man, which has made people believe that it is possible that they worshipped lizard people, the reptiles. In Revelation 12:9, it is said, quote, "And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." The serpent was thrown down to earth, eh? Sounds a lot like a reptile person confirmation to me. Now, whether or not they are demons, that is the question. There have been way too many reptile Hollywood sightings to count, so beware, folks. In our number 5 spot, we have the Lawless One. In the Bible, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, I might have pronounced that wrong, sorry, it's been a while since I've been to church. Thessalonians 2:9, we are warned about the Lawless One who is doing the work of Satan, aka a demon. The coming of the Lawless One is by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders. Who exactly this message is referring to? I mean, it could be any number of people in history that promised wonders and things that they could not keep. Historical political leaders that may have tricked the masses. I mean, there have been many, from Genghis Khan to presidents in this day and age. So who's to say who this verse is speaking about, but perhaps at this point this benevolent demon has reincarnated many times over, considering the Bible stories are from thousands of years ago. In our number 4 spot, we have the man that couldn't speak. Demons are spoken about so much in the Bible, and on many accounts, stories are told where it is believed that people have come across these demons. Mark speaks about a demon that made someone's son unable to speak. This demon caused its victim to have epileptic-like seizures, in which he was at times thrown down to wallow on the ground and made to foam at the mouth. No one was able to get rid of this demon but Jesus, after saying to the spirit, "Deaf and dumb spirit, I command you, come out of him and enter him no more. This has led a lot of people over the thousands of years to believe that mental illness is really just demonic possession. Obviously, we know better now about what mental illness is, but you may be surprised to hear that there are still a lot of people that believe that multiple personality disorder is demonic possession. In our number 3 spot, we have the parking lot demon. Years ago, a news station in Serbia called Channel 4 reported the wildest story. Apparently, a woman was in a parking lot when suddenly something invisible started chasing her, and whatever it was jumped from one lamp post to the other. She was so frightened that she went to the police to report that a maniac was chasing her. The police took a look at the footage and couldn't believe what they saw. It looked to be a transparent human running back and forth. Some believe it to be someone from another universe glitching into ours, but the woman swears that it was chasing her, so some believe that it was a demon. It's so crazy to see, and I read that the Bible warned us about a spirit called Abaddon, whom is the leader of the demons, and honestly, this could very well be proof of one of the Abaddon demons, as this woman was definitely terrorized by something. In our number 2 spot, we have the demon selfie. This is a picture of a demon and a boy, and it's crazy to see. This pic isn't even blurry, so that makes it more horrifying. Basically, a mom from Pennsylvania named Heather was taking a picture of her son. When she looked at the photo, she saw a mysterious person with black eyes creeping out from behind him. She said that there was no one in sight when she was taking her photo but her son. So that is ridiculously insane. This looks like a demon porcelain doll in my opinion. Oh my gosh, that is just the most terrifying. Imagine if she was home alone with her son. I truly hope not. I would never ever want to be home alone again if this happened to me. In our number 1 spot, we have the Brazilian Demon Man. Yo, this has to be the scariest thing I've ever seen. Okay, maybe not, but it is still terrifying to think that multiple people witnessed this. Okay, so in 2015, many reports were being filed about a strange demon-like wolf man in Brazil. It started popping up everywhere, and then someone managed to review street footage and got it captured in a still shot. Here we have a man who looks like he's part wolf or straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster, to be honest. He has long pointy ears and strange wolf-like legs and appears to have a small tail. The shot is blurry as it's night and pitch black, but if this isn't a demon, then I don't know what is. This is definitely one of the demons that the Bible warned us about. Hey Brazilians, beware.
Number 10, Legion. Jesus encounters a possessed man and calls on the demon to emerge, demanding to know its name, which is an important element of traditional exorcism practice. He finds the man is possessed by a multitude of demons who give the collective name of Legion. So yeah, this demon is made of countless evil spirits able to incarnate into a physical body or separate into their respective forms at will. While the types of demons that make up Legion is unknown, they are said to be the same kind of demon that would inhabit a host and would have a single hive mind. Speaking of which, the demons of Legion do act like a hive mind, always speaking in unison and always knowing what the other demon is thinking and preparing to do. Legion appears as a floating sphere that is protected by an outer shell composed of massive innumerable humanoid bodies. This enormous lump of flesh conceals an inner core whose identity can vary. Legion, when possessing a human body, begins to torture the psychological person, making them have depressive and negative thoughts to erase any desire of life from its hosts. Their attitude of possessing human bodies is seen as a horrible act to most angels, as it deprives humans of their only weapon, free will. Number 9, Furfur. Furfur, also known as Furcifer, is a demon who is said to be the Count of Hell, leading 26 legions. He speaks in a hoarse voice, has a fiery tail, and usually appears as a stag. He is said to be able to make men and women fall in love, and also has command over great storms. He gives true answers to all things past, present, and future, but he must first be commanded to enter a magic triangle, for if not, he will lie and deceive the conjurer. But if he enters the triangle, he will answer truly and gladly speak about divinity, the creation of the world, himself, and other fallen angels. He can also destroy all the conjurer's enemies by burning them up. And if the magician requests it, he will not suffer temptations from any spirit or in any form. Furfur can also supposedly be called upon when a mortal wishes to take vengeance on other demons. This is likely included in his capability to destroy the conjurer's enemies. And I just gotta say, how scary can a demon be if its name is literally Furfur? It sounds like a name someone would give their cat. Number 8. Beelzebub. Beelzebub is a former Seraphian turned into high-ranking demon who is considered one of the 7 princes of hell and oversees the Order of the Fly. In Catholic demonology, he is sometimes considered to be one of the first 3 angels to fall from heaven, along with Lucifer and Leviathan. He is also often confused with Satan, and the 2 names can be interchanged. However, strictly speaking, they are 2 separate entities. Beelzebub is the chief lieutenant of Lucifer and is one of the most loyal. He is commonly described as placed high in the hierarchy of hell and is seen as being associated with envy. He is also the prince of false gods, and flies play a large focus in imagery detailing him. The malignant spirit can even take the form of flies, according to some. I mean, ever heard of Lord of the Flies? Yup, that's him. Number 7. Mammon. Mammon in the New Testament of the Bible is commonly thought to mean money, material wealth, or an entity that promises wealth and is associated with the greedy pursuit of gain. After the rebellion in heaven, Mammon was banished to hell, where he is the one who finds underground precious metals that his demonic companions used to build their capital city, Pandemonium, by Lucifer's order. Mammon counsels the devils to be happy with what they've got and to create a home for themselves in hell. He is one of the 7 princes of hell, each representing the 7 deadly sins. Mammon represents greed and is known as the treasurer of hell, and was said to have had dealings with the Greek deity Zeus. It is thought that when you make a deal with the devil for wealth and fame, you are making it with Mammon. Number 6. Belphegor. Belphegor is a demon lord that presides over the sin of sloth and is one of the 7 princes that rules hell. He also assists people to make discoveries. For example, he seduces people by suggesting to them ingenious inventions that will make them rich, and they wouldn't have to work hard for it. As one of the fallen angels, Belphegor was originally a member of the Order of the Principalities, and after his fall, he became a demonic counterpart to one of the 10 Sephiroth that oversee the Tree of Life. He is the biblical enemy of the 6 Sephiroth, the patron angel of beauty. It's said that if Belphegor were to become too influential in the world, then the beauty of it all would become tainted, causing ruination. Number 5. Leviathan. Leviathan became a demon of darkness and chaos and a leader of hell mentioned in the book of Enoch. Leviathan is one of Lucifer's arms and one of the many faces of the devil in Christianity. He is also the representation of the sin envy. Leviathan is a tamer of beasts, a beast collector, and an excellent strategist. He has the power to summon hellish whales that are natural inhabitants of hell and use them in battle. Leviathan appears as a huge sea beast, a very powerful species of a sea serpent dragon. This form is so colossal that it's said to be capable of frightening the bravest of men and is capable of swallowing fishing boats and even ships. Its scales are several small teeth throughout its body, similar to a shark's body. Now, in his human form, Leviathan appears as a handsome young man in his late teens. Although the appearance is similar to a human, he has fish gills on his neck and his ears are pointed. He also has a small shark-like teeth that are hidden under a thin layer of skin in his mouth. Like his name suggests, he is a very jealous person, with Lucifer often being the target though. It should be noted that Leviathan's jealousy isn't limited to only him, so you should watch out. Number 4. Lucifer. Lucifer was one of the most beautiful and indescribable beings created by God, with his wisdom and beauty being described as perfect. However, despite being considered a perfect, beautiful, and glorious being by countless angels, Lucifer was extremely proud and rebelled against his father after refusing to bow down to Adam and Eve. Therefore, Lucifer is known as the first sinner, the devil, and the adversary. Now, Lucifer didn't create any angels, only God had that power, but Lucifer did trick some of them into rebelling against God and becoming his followers, claiming that he was more powerful than God and would take God's place as the ruler of the universe. They believed him, and since then, Lucifer has used them to do his will. He's known for the deadly sin of pride, and he used his pride to persuade them. I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, I will make myself like the Most High. Isaiah 14. Lucifer also sends the worst people up to earth to wreak havoc and terrorize everyone, as well as tries to tempt non-sinners to the dark side, so be safe. Number 3. Abaddon. Abaddon is considered the ruler of all demons in the 7th layer of hell, violence, and also the commander of the locusts of Abaddon. Now, what are the locusts? Well, they're scorpion-tailed warhorses that have a man's face with lion's teeth. They are commanded to torment anyone for 5 months who does not have the seal of God on their forehead by using their scorpion-like tails. So, yeah. He rules them. He has eyes as black as night and a huge mouth with many sharp teeth like those of a great white shark. In addition, he wears black armor and his wings have even turned dark. Abaddon is sometimes referred or foreshadowed as death, as they both are neutral entities of two opposing forces. He is also considered both an angel and demon with neutral and at times lawful agents of both heaven and hell. It is unknown where his allegiance lies. He's often bringing judgment upon people in the name of God, implying that he works for the Almighty. That being said, Abaddon has also caused events that God would never have wanted to happen, let alone the fact that Abaddon helped Lucifer during the war in heaven. Seems like he liked to play both sides. It's also said during Judgment Day he will gather the souls of the damned and carry them down to the place of God's final judgment. Number 2. Asmodeus. Asmodeus is a demon who personifies and represents lust, the sexual sin related to adultery. He is the demon who exists as the arch-rival of the angel of chastity, Gabriel. Asmodeus is also referred to as one of the 7 princes of hell and represents one of the 7 deadly sins, being lust. Asmodeus is a demon of lust and is therefore responsible for twisting people's sexual desires. It is said that people who fall to Asmodeus' ways will be sentenced to an eternity in the 2nd level of hell. He is also a demon of lechery, jealousy, anger, and revenge. In hell, Asmodeus looks human, however he has stark black eyes and 2 rows of shark teeth sticking out of his mouth. In this form, Asmodeus has no hair on his head, but has a muscular appearance from the waist up and 2 bat wings protruding from his back. From the waist down, he has what looks like kangaroo legs and a long dragon's tail. His horrible appearance is capable of causing fear and repudiation in humans who fall into hell, and that's the demon's intention. And coming up at number 1 is Satan. Satan is a prominent demon in the hierarchy of hell. He is known for bringing evil and temptation and is known as the deceiver who leads humanity astray. Satan is even able to take control of the life of a person in the stead of God, though only to an extent to what God allows. Satan would appear to those who are sinful, playing into their hearts and towing them into despair. He may either be depicted as a rebel to the will of God, or as one who tempts mankind to commit sin to show God that mankind can easily be led astray from him. He is described as the ruler of the demons and the god of this age. In Revelation, Satan appears as a great red dragon who is ultimately banished from heaven by Michael the archangel. Satan is mostly known as the devil, and although the book of Genesis does not mention him, he is often identified with the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Satan is also said to be associated with one of the 7 deadly sins, being wrath, and is one of the 7 princes of hell. Number 10. Adesea. Adesea is a giant demon-eating demon in the religion and mythos of the Zuni people of the southwestern United States. He is a giant, several times larger than a normal human being. In one story, he is said to have long, wild gray hair and hands with skin so thick and gnarled that the knuckles appeared horned. In another tale, he is said to have chest hair as prickly as porcupine quills, immensely muscular arms covered in black and white scales, a scalp covered in bristly hair like a bison's mane, a mouth that stretched from ear to ear, and a wrinkled, swollen red face. Several stories agree that he had bulging eyes that did not blink, yellow tusks that protruded past his lips, and long talons. Adesea is depicted as having a number of unsavory behavioral traits. In addition to eating his fellow demons, he's also depicted as hungry for human flesh, and I'm so glad he didn't leave us out. He is also an inavert liar and is often depicted armed with weapons, so I wouldn't invite him into your life. Number 9. Dharmasan. You can summon Dharmasan by playing a little game mostly known by the name of the bath game. You must be in a bathtub, and while washing your hair, you must say Dharmasan fell down repeatedly until you finish. You will visualize a woman falling, her head hitting a rusty tap that impales her through her eye, after which she dies. The next day, it's said that the ghost of Dharmasan will follow. If you try to look directly at her, she will disappear. But if you keep glancing behind your right shoulder, you may get a glimpse of her. Her hair will be black and tangled, and she will have only one eye. She will attempt to get closer and closer to you as the day goes on. Should you spot her and find that she's too close for comfort, shout Tamar, that is stop, and run away. The idea is to put some distance between you and her, and do not allow her to catch you. When you catch her gaze, you can perform a chopping motion with your hand while shouting Kida in order to escape her and win the game, as long as it's done before midnight, that is. Failing to do so will grant her permission to enter your dreams, and that is, well, terrifying. Number 8. Flying heads. Flying heads are described as being ravenous spirits that are cursed with an insatiable hunger. They are generally described as resembling a human head with long dark hair, terrible eyes, and a large mouth filled with razor-sharp fangs. In some versions, the flying head has a pair of bat wings jutting from each side of its cheek and bird-like talons. In all instances, they're described as being larger in size than that of the tallest man and possessing a hide that no weapon can penetrate. According to native folklore, during an especially severe winter prior to European arrival, an unknown tribe in New York State was suffering a famine. The young men wished to move the tribe across the Great Lake to seek new opportunities, whilst the older men, believing the famine was a punishment for their crimes by the spirits, desired to stay and endure. Enraged by the old men's stubbornness, the young men ended their lives, decapitating the bodies and dropping their heads into the lake. However, one of the young men involved in the deaths became entangled in the pile of heads, falling into the lake and drowning. Then, after destroying those responsible for the deaths, the flying head began terrorizing other tribes. Number 7. Elevator Lady. You can summon the Elevator Lady by playing the elevator game / ritual. This one is as simple as going up and down between specific floors until a creepy lady enters the elevator with you. In this terrifying moment that she does appear, it's crucial that you do not acknowledge her. You just take the elevator up to the 10th floor. Then you'll have one chance to forfeit the ritual. If you want to proceed, simply step out of the elevator into an alternate dimension. The lady will ask you where you're going, but just ignore her. You may explore this world if you dare, and to get back to your original world, just repeat the steps you took to get to the alternate one, making sure to use the same elevator. Whatever you do though, do not speak or even look at her. If you do, she may decide to keep you for her own, and you don't want to know what happens then. Number 6. Wendigo. A Wendigo originates from the folklore of the Plains and Great Lake natives as well as some First Nations. It's based in and around the East Coast forests of Canada, the Great Plains region of the United States, and the Great Lakes region of the United States and Canada. Sometimes Wendigos are described as exceptionally thin, with skulls and skeletons pushing through its ash-colored mummy-like skin. Other stories describe the Wendigo as a well-fleshed giant who gets proportionately larger the more it eats. According to other legends, the Wendigo has pointed or animal-like ears with antlers or horns sprouting on its head. A Wendigo's eyes have been described as sunken or glowing like hot coals. Sharp and pointy teeth, extremely bad breath, and body odor are also often traits of a Wendigo. It is usually, but not always, endowed with powers such as superhuman strength and stamina that will allow it to stalk, overpower, and devour its victims. Wendigos are usually credited with exceptional eyesight, hearing, and senses of smell. They are said to move within the speed of the wind and have the ability to walk across deep snow or even over open water without sinking. It's said to invoke feelings of insatiable hunger / greed, the desire to eat other humans, and the propensity to end people's lives in those who fall under its influence. Number 5. Candyman. Having his life ended for simply loving a white woman, Daniel Robital had an unjust price for his death of having his hand cut off, being covered in honey, and having a hive set upon him, and then finally being set on fire after his torment was done. He was then summoned as an urban legend, taking on the form of pure malice, his name to become infamous in the town, killing any and all who invoke his name. According to this legend, if you look into a mirror and chant the name Candyman 5 times, he will appear behind you and kill you with his hook. For you see, the Candyman is a vicious killer with a bloody hook for a hand. He appears in the mirror covered in blood and bees and has nothing but death on his mind. If you summon him, you're just asking for a death sentence, okay? Just don't do it. Number 4. Paimon. If you've heard the name Paimon before, it's probably because this is the demon in Ari Aster's film Hereditary, but it's actually a real demon. Paimon is a spirit named in the early grimoires. Though there's some variation in his appearance, his grandeur is mentioned in all accounts. Paimon wears a woman's face but a man's form, regaled with fine jewelry and a golden crown. His voice is so unnaturally loud and authoritative that it hurts anyone who listens. To merely understand the demon, you must request he lower his voice. Preceding him is a host of spirits who appear as men playing loud fanfare with a diverse arrangement of horns, cymbals, and other musical instruments. Paimon is one of the greater kings of hell, and like other kings, he travels with an entourage. When summoning Paimon, be aware that he travels with 2 lesser kings and 25 of the 200 spirit legions under his command. And to even reach Paimon, there may be a network of lesser demons who act as intermediaries between you and Paimon. You may even have to appeal and compel demons just to navigate a path to find King Paimon, demon, so it's just difficult overall. Number 3, Skinwalker. Okay, so not necessarily a demon, but hear me out. In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. According to some traditions, skinwalkers were once the healers and medicine men who were corrupt by their own power and turned to evil. By draping the hide of a certain animal over themselves, the witch takes on the form and traits of that animal. In doing so, the witch gains the animal's strength, speed, and endurance. They sometimes transform themselves into animals simply for the purpose of traversing great distances quickly. They may also transform in order to wreak havoc on others, as their identity will be hidden and they'll be able to escape quickly if necessary. They curse people and cause great suffering and death, one Navajo writer explained. At night, their eyes grow like hot coals. It's said if you see the face of a skinwalker, they have to kill you. If you see one and know who it is, they will die. If you see them and you don't know them, they have to kill you in order to keep you from finding out who they are. Skinwalkers are also telepathically linked to each other, enhancing their coordination during hunts and fights, but allowing little to no privacy at any time. Skinwalkers can read other humans' minds and control them, and skinwalkers in 2 different groups can communicate telepathically and are able to choose which thoughts they share. They can also copy animal or human voices to lure victims to them to feed on. They generally copy the sound of a human that is in need of help, so don't get tricked. Number 2, the Midnight Man. I'm not gonna lie, this is a cool sounding name, but whatever you do, don't summon him. I mean, can you think of a better way to spend an evening than inviting a ghostly spirit into your home and having him chase you around in the darkness for over 3 hours while you avoid him? Yeah. Okay, well, this game is called the Midnight Game, and the ritual begins with you pricking yourself to draw blood. It's basically hide and seek, and once you perform the needed steps, open your door and let the Midnight Man in. The goal of the game is to avoid meeting the Midnight Man in the dark. Continually moving about your home will make it more difficult for him to find you, and should you stop moving at any point, he will catch you. Accounts differ as to what happens to the players caught by the Midnight Man. Some claim he will induce a hallucination of your worst fear until the end of the game. Others claim he'll remove your organs one by one. Both outcomes are to be avoided at all costs. At 3:33 a.m., the Midnight Man will leave your home, and then you can safely end the game and be free of him. And coming in at number 1 is Bloody Mary. The roots of the mirror game known as Bloody Mary stretch back to a folk tradition practiced by young people in the 19th century. And as for who Bloody Mary is, well, that changes depending on who you're talking to. Some say she's Mary Worth, who may have been either a Puritan woman who was tried and executed for witchcraft, or a woman who was killed in a car crash. Some say she's the vengeful spirit of a mother who lost her child, and still others say she's Mary Tudor, the Queen of England who reigned from 1553 to 1558 and became known as Bloody Mary for the executions she carried out. In the ritual of today, Bloody Mary allegedly appears to individuals or groups who repeatedly chant her name into a mirror placed in a dimly lit or candlelit room. The Bloody Mary apparition allegedly appears as a corpse, witch, or ghost that can be friendly or evil and is sometimes seen covered in blood, hence the name. The lore surrounding the ritual states that participants may endure the apparition screaming at them, cursing at them, strangling them, stealing their soul, drinking their blood, or scratching their eyes out. Which is so kind of her, eh? Number 10. Valak. Valak. Sound familiar? Probably because it's a prominent character in the Conjuring films. In the films, Valak terrifies me, but the real Valak is somehow scarier. The first known reference to the name Valak is found in a 17th century grimoire titled The Key of Solomon. For those of you who don't know, grimoires are books that contain a mix of spells, conjurations, natural secrets, and ancient wisdom. Solomon is a self-describing guide to the ceremonial art of commanding spirits, both good and evil, which just doesn't sound like a good idea to me, but hey, to each their own, I guess. The grimoire bearing Valak's name lists the 72 demons that the king supposedly vanquished during his reign, providing readers with their names and instructions for expelling them should they come in contact with such spirits themselves. Valak is the 62nd spirit listed in Solomon, according to which he appeareth like a boy with angel wings, riding on a 2-headed dragon. His special power, according to the text, is finding snakes and hidden treasures while leading an army of 30 demons, which I have to admit is kinda a cool hobby. Now, the Bible itself contains no reference to Solomon's 72 demons, but Solomon was actually listed in the Vatican's list of prohibited books, which the church continuously updated until scrapping it altogether in 1966. So, if I were you, I wouldn't try to summon Valak because it sounds terrifying.
Number 9. Wero. Wero is popular in New Zealand, so anywhere far away from here, we love that. It's a figure in the mythology of the Maori people. Probably know the Maori people from those haunting masks that you've seen on this channel. He's considered a god of darkness, evil, and death, set on harming humanity. Nice, how lovely does that sound right off the bat? Now, according to Maori mythology, Wero was one of the children of Ranguini, the Sky Father, and Papatuanuku, the Earth Mother. Cool parents right there, we love it. He was born in the underworld, and of course he was jealous of his brothers who lived in the world above. Which, you know, more than fair. It's hot and stuffy down there. You're up here with the AC. I'd want out too. It was believed that Wero could cause illness or misfortune to those who displeased him, so you better smash that thumbs up just to be safe. He's also known as the god of revenge and was said to punish those who had wronged him or his followers. Maori mythology is quite complex. You have different tribes and regions having their own interpretations and stories about these gods and demons and their relationships with humanity. So depending on which story you find, it might be lovely and it might be, you know, a demon story that's actually terrifying. You might have a different opinion on Wero. Depends. 50-50.
Number 8. Krampus. Krampus, another demon who has a movie about them. Krampus is popular in Germanic folklore, and this demon is essentially the polar opposite of Santa Claus. On and around December 5th, St. Nicholas travels around the Alpine countries delivering candy and gifts to all the good boys and girls, but at the same time, his darker double follows close behind, only rather than leaving gifts, he deals out behavior-correcting punishment by flogging naughty boys and girls with a birdwood switch. This dreaded day is called Krampenschnott. Krampus wears bells and chains, and he sometimes captures the naughty and takes them away from their parents forever. Krampus is always portrayed in human form, with a twisted body, long horns on his head, sharp teeth, and a nasty long tongue. The length and appearance of these horns vary from story to storyteller, and in recent years Krampus has become some of a globally accepted Christmas demon. He has been terrifying German children for generations, and I would not want to come face to face with him, so I'm gonna be on my best behavior all year round.
Number 7. Asog. Not ASAP, Asog. Asog is a demon from Sumerian mythology who is associated with disease and destruction. The 2 Ds that you don't want, right there. Here we go. Dungeons and Dragons? It's like, nope. Not that one, not this time. According to legend, he was born from the god Anu and the goddess Ki, but was rejected by both of them because of his monstrous appearance. That's sad. They both rejected him? Like, guys, you made him. I don't know. Blame yourselves. Asog is depicted as a large, horned creature with a scaly body and sharp claws. Almost like a dragon, some would say. Said to bring chaos and fear wherever he goes. Definitely. Asog is often associated with the spread of illness and pestilence. Now, Sumerian mythology really didn't like this guy. Some versions of the myth would have Asog be defeated by the god Ninurta, who uses the power of the storm to vanquish the demon and, you know, restore order to the earth. So unless you have a storm lying around anywhere, it's gonna be a tough fight. It'll be close, but you're probably not gonna win.
Number 6. Ayla. Ayla is a female demon from Eastern Europe who, like many demons, seems to be derived from a belief in nature and weather spirits that could cause disaster and disease. Ayla was believed to reside in clouds, lakes, springs, remote mountains, caves, or in large trees. When she visited humankind, she could take many forms. She could manifest as a vast black wind or female dragon, a large-mouthed human, or a raven. She could even possess people. Her primary characteristic is her all-consuming greed. If angered, she could manifest violent, thunderous hailstorms to destroy fields, vineyards, and orchards. However, it was equally likely she would satisfy her enormous appetite by devouring the produce herself. And when she wasn't over-consuming stolen grapes or grain, Ayla liked to snack on children, which are so nutritious. Her greed was so insatiable that she also periodically tried to eat the sun and moon, therefore causing eclipses. So there you have it, the reason for eclipses is due to Ayla. Now, if a person encountered Ayla, their health could suffer. However, if they gained the demon's favor, she would not only restore health, but also bestow upon them good fortune for the rest of their life. Now, I don't think I'd want to risk that though, so I would stay away from her.
Number 5. Floros. Floros is a fun one. As far as appearances go, he's a little bit different. Not so much a demon dragon lord, but I don't know, kind of lovely. Floros was said to have the power to cause destruction and chaos, of course. Now, according to some accounts, he appears as a leopard or as a man with the wings of a griffin. So, two very different descriptions right there, but we'll take it. I like the cheetah version a bunch. He looks so vulnerable, doesn't he? I don't know. He looks like he forgot a towel after he showered. He's all hunched over. Now, as far as powers go, he does pack a punch. He looks a little odd with that hunchback, but he'll get ya. Floros is associated with fire and is said to have the ability to control or summon it. Yeah, flame on, I guess. Floros is also known for his ability to reveal hidden secrets and to protect those who summon him. So if you're homies with him, you're good. Otherwise, fire and silly walks are coming your way. It's not good. It is said he should only be summoned by experienced practitioners of the occult. So that's you, go for it. I don't know, sure.
Number 4, Mana Anagal. The Mana Anagal is a dark-hearted demon and arguably one of the most gruesome types of demons. Its name means to separate, which is precisely what it does. This female demon turns into a terrifying winged vampire-like creature. However, as their wings sprout, their legs separate from their bodies. Their upper halves fly around, entrails dangling beneath them, surely showering people with gore as they go. This particular demon is rooted in Filipino folklore. The Mana Anagal preys on a range of targets, including pregnant women. Their probing tongue penetrates the woman's pregnant baby and sucks out their unborn child's heart, and if that isn't dark, then I don't know what is. The Mana Anagal is also said to prey on newlyweds and couples in love. It would seem that love is the fuel that drives this demon onwards. The legend behind it claims the original Mana Anagal was abandoned at the altar, explaining why they also desire to feast on flesh of grooms-to-be. You know what? I respect this as a fellow person who is bitter about being single. But why does this demon have to look so scary?
Number 3, Spring-Heeled Jack. Heading over to ye olden days, the Spring-Heeled Jack was a mysterious demon character something that emerged in the 19th century London. Now, he was described as tall, thin, and agile figure with red eyes, clawed hands, and this one may be a little obvious if you see him, but he has the ability to jump over buildings, so keep your heads up. Spring-Heeled Jack was known for attacking women, but often breathing blue flames and causing them to faint or suffer from shock. More than fair. If a guy breathed fire, I'd probably faint. His identity and motives remain unknown, of course, just classic demon stuff, with some theories suggesting that he was a supernatural being or an escaped criminal, or a superhero. I have no idea. Many believe this was the infamous Jack the Ripper, because Spring-Heeled Jack the Ripper, obviously, stories are gonna combine. Spring-Heeled Jack became a popular figure in Victorian literature and folklore, somehow inspiring numerous sightings and stories. I don't know. Let's just forget this guy. He breathes fire, jumps over buildings. No.
Number 2, Incubi and Succubi. Who doesn't love some sex demons? Incubi and Succubi are vampire-like demons that feed off of human energy and attack their victims at night. These demons attack their victims by pressing down on them, often while taking advantage of them. Incubi are the male demons. They're supposedly very hard to send away once they have chosen a victim, and they supposedly can shapeshift, so their appearance differs, although they are often said to look human-like. It has been said that the incubi may be especially physically attractive for their victims. Succubi are the female demons. Succubi have often been described as exceptionally beautiful women, sometimes with a bat or other flying animal wings on their backs. As with incubi, the succubi attack their victims at night and allegedly prefer religiously minded victims as well. The succubi seek out sleeping men who are said to drain them of their blood, breath, life energy, and semen, even to the point that the victim could die. So now you don't just have to worry about demons while you're awake, but also while you're asleep.
And number 1, Lilith. Lilith is a female demon. Sometimes she's seen as a sex goddess, so that's neat. To each their own, I guess. She first appeared in ancient Mesopotamian and Jewish folklore. Now, in Mesopotamian mythology, she was a winged demon who preyed on pregnant women. So, not so fun on this side. But in Jewish tradition, Lilith was believed to be Adam's first wife before Eve, who, rumor has it, refused to submit to him and left the Garden of Eden to hook up with demons down below. Yeah, instead, giving birth to monstrous offspring. I kind of like that version more. That one feels more like a Thor installment. That's kind of fun, that one. Over time, Lilith's story became associated with other beliefs. Now today, it's funny, today she's a feminist icon in modern times in a way. Still a demon, but still an icon. We love it. That line in the middle, that's where you gotta That's where you gotta stay. Lilith remains a prominent figure in various forms of literature, art, and popular culture. But if you read about Lilith, it's really gonna be 50-50 which story you're gonna get. Sex goddess or demon. Who knows? We're learning today. Either way, that's it.
At number 10 is King Pamion. Pamion, a crowned king of spirits, is a regal figure atop a camel and heralded by your call through the dance of the Ouija board's planchette. Now, if your board is speaking gibberish, it may be because this demon speaks only in tongue and will only speak the practitioner's native language when commanded to. But you might not want to actually speak to this guy, as Pamion and his associated demons are obedient companions of Lucifer and always demand a sacrifice, an offering to appease the accompanying kings who serve beneath his dominion. Yet, with any encounter with the supernatural, you must tread carefully. Pamion's power is matched only by his complexity. Whispers suggest that he was once a dominion, while others debate his cherubic origins. You know, the cherub? No, not those little babies with wings, but the biblically accurate angel with 5 heads, 4 wings, and covered in eyes? Well, Pamion was said to once be one of those types of angels before he got buddied up with Lucy. Texts like the Goetia and the Liber Officium Spirituum, sorry if I butchered that, reveal Pamion's insight into science, treasures, and even Earth's elements, while the Liber de Espirits adds truth answering and world affairs to that list of abilities you may gain access to, assuming your sacrifice is worthy. He can also grant power and positions, future sight, spirit summoning, and even temporary reanimation, which is probably why they say not to play with the Ouija board in cemeteries. But before you pull out your Ouija board and start summoning, if you're enjoying this video so far, subscribing to Most Amazing and ringing that notification bell. At number 9 is Zozo. For all of you who don't know, Zozo is the most famous demon associated with the Ouija board. You see, Zozo isn't your typical run-of-the-mill demon. In fact, some sources claim that he exhibits poltergeist-like behavior, throwing around furniture and whatnot. But here's the kicker. The effects linger long after the Ouija board session ends, whether you properly close the session or not. The chilling presence of Zozo can haunt you for years. It's like having an uninvited guest that just won't leave, no matter how many times you ask it to. That if you find yourself face to face with this malevolent force, it's crucial, actually imperative, that you shut down the Ouija board right away, and to be doubly safe, why not consider giving that board a fiery farewell? Yeah, that's right, burn it! The Z to the O to the Z to the O movement on the planchette is your cue to bid adieu and consign that board to the flame. Now, allegedly, the more we talk about him, the stronger he becomes, so let's move on to the next demon, shall we? At number 8 is President Boer. Pseudo-Demonarchia Demonum. Holy cow. This great president of hell commands 50 legions of demons and materializes under celestial embrace of Sagittarius, whatever that means. Now tread carefully, because wielding a Ouija board to beckon Buer might unleash a tempest of consequences. But why would you want to summon this demon from hell in the first place? Well, maybe if you were a fan of myth, as this demon is sometimes described as a centaur, but it can also take the form of whatever the hell that is. A lion's head and a peculiar symphony of 5 legs, which walks in all directions. This demon is said to unveil the mysteries of natural and moral philosophy, logic, and esoteric secrets of flora. That's right, his dominion extends to the botanical realm, granting insights into herbs and plants and qualities of uses. But his influence can bless more than just esoteric farmers. His touch possesses healing powers, capable of mending even the most profound human infirmities. Yet, dear voyagers of the mystical, be wary of the strings you pull, because with Buer's knowledge comes a weighty responsibility, and tampering with the arcane invites both enlightenment and peril. Buer embodies wisdom and potency, a dichotomy that dances on the edge of discovery and darkness. So should you dare beckon Buer through the Ouija board's eternal gateway, brace yourself for the journey that could forever alter the fabric of your reality. Or just don't. At number 7 is Veilfar. This Duke of Hell, or should I say Donkey of Hell? While Veilfar might promise you the world, or at least a bag of swag, you're essentially opening a door to forces that might not be all that interested in keeping their end of the bargain. He's the Duke of Hell after all, and that comes with legions of otherworldly troublemakers, so not really the kind of RSVP you'd want. So before you whip out the old Ouija board and decide to give Veilfar a call, just remember that there are risks and consequences involved. Perhaps it's best to stick to the realm of curiosity and exploration rather than diving headfirst into the unknown. But if you are going to call him, it's noted that he's a manager of a rather unique department in hell. You see, he's in charge of cultivating good relationships among, wait for it, thieves. Yeah, you heard me right. Veilfar is the ultimate matchmaker for those looking to dabble in the art of larceny. He's like the Cupid of the criminal underworld, except instead of arrows, he wields temptation. Legend has it that Veilfar has a knack for tempting individuals into a life of theft. He's got a charming allure, a sort of devilishly enticing charisma that convinces people to satch a little something here and there. But it doesn't grant you immunity to being caught, and it's been known to put people in risky situations. At number 6 is Gamgin. According to certain texts, Gamgin takes the form of a small horse rather than a peculiar initial appearance appearance for a demon. Gamgeon's duties and abilities are quite intriguing. While the Lesser Key of Solomon primarily attributes his responsibilities to teaching liberal arts and providing the accounts of souls that died in sin, describes Gamgeon as a marquis who possesses the power to summon the souls of those who drown in the airy bodies. These souls are compelled to answer questions, painting a picture of a sort of supernatural interrogation conducted by this demon. Interestingly, it's said that Gamgeon can also work his mysteries on magic souls dwelling in purgatory, allowing them to communicate with the living. At number 5 is Barbas. Barbas, who's also known as Marbas, is a remarkable demon from the Ars Goetia, overseeing an impressive 36 legions of his kind. Imagine this guy as a cosmic Google, unveiling hidden truths and secrets, a supernatural physician capable of healing disease, and an otherworldly engineer with insights into mechanical arts. But here's where it gets truly captivating. Barbas is no ordinary demon, he's a shapeshifter. But let's not forget the gravity of these endeavors, because summoning demons is no game. It's a serious pursuit that requires caution and respect. See, the Ouija board might serve as a conduit, but the consequences of meddling with the unknown can be profound and unsettling. Now, as for the name Barbas, it's Latin with historical significance. From the Latin barba, meaning beards, it ties with hellebore, which is a plant intertwined with witchcraft. At number 4 is Vasago. Vasago is described as a prince of good nature. Magicians who dare to summon him may have their sights on uncovering secrets of time itself, as Vasago is renowned for divulging knowledge of past and future events. Not only that, but lost objects may be rediscovered through his magical influence. But although he's described as a demon in the Lesser Key of Solomon, Vasago's influence extends to the Book of Office of Spirits, where he takes the identity of Usago, an angelic figure with a penchant for kind and just actions. According to this text, if you're seeking to ignite the flames of love or unveil hidden treasures, Vasago might be your go-to celestial matchmaker and treasure hunter. At number 3 is Chronozon. Chronozon is a demon with a mystic legacy that spans centuries, as he made his debut in the 16th century, but has been notably associated with Aleister Crowley's Themalia, where he is the dweller in the abyss, the last barrier to enlightenment. Thelemites believe that confronting Chronozon annihilates the ego, a ticket to deeper understanding. Not sure I'd want to achieve enlightenment with the help of a demon, but I digress. Now, Chronozon isn't your typical demon. He's the demon of dispersion, embodying chaos within the abyss. In Crowley's own words, the abyss is a swirling vortex of formlessness, a playground for Chronozon's shenanigans, where meaningless forms pop up and assert their individuality before getting blown away like sand in the wind. Thus, depictions of the demon lean towards some formless, shape-shifting thing, and according to Crowley, summoning it, even while contained within its boundaries, threw sand on top of the triangle to breach it, and then proceeded to attack Nuremberg in the form of a naked savage, forcing him to drive it back with a poking stick? Okay, moral of the story, don't summon this demon unless you've got magic circles or sharp objects, apparently. At number 2 is Agares, an ancient duke from the eastern enclaves of the supernatural. Picture an old sage riding a crocodile with a hawk perched on his arm. Agares, a linguistic virtuoso, imparts forgotten languages and has a knack for tracking down runaways. His powers can even extend to causing earthquakes, apparently. Summoning Agares could be akin to calling upon a whole legion of 31 or 36 loyal demon companions, which is way too much evil to break down in this video alone, but I doubt you'd want your very own demonic entourage. Or maybe I should speak for myself. At number 1 is Baal. Baal or Baal is a king of the underworld who holds a prominent spot in various demonological works like the Lesser Key of Solomon, Pseudo-Demonarcavia Demonarum, I totally messed that up, I'm not gonna try again. With the power to render men invisible and commanding a staggering 36 legions of demons, Baal is not your typical dinner guest. But what exactly happens when you decide to ring him up with a Ouija board? Well, if legends hold true, summoning Baal might just bring about some mind-boggling experiences. Reports suggest that Baal has the uncanny ability to bestow power of invisibility upon mortals. Imagine the possibilities, but with any supernatural encounter, there's always a flip side. Baal's power and influence could lead to unforeseen consequences. You see, these texts hint at his ability to gather the favor of others, but what if that favor comes with a price? Perhaps in your pursuit of popularity, you find yourself ensnared in a web of intrigue and manipulation, unable to escape its supernatural grip. Or, you could lose your soul. Now let's address the elephant, or should I say the multi-headed cat-toad man in the room. If Baal were to manifest in your midst, the sheer sight of him alone could leave you questioning the very fabric of reality, or your sanity. Remember, summoning demons isn't a game, and it's important to approach such practices with caution and respect. These ancient rituals are steeped in history and belief systems, and whether you personally believe in their efficacy or not, the psychological impact of attempting to summon a powerful entity cannot be ignored.